Good morning, everyone. How are you all today? I was going to jump on here and do my video real quick. Not outside, it's a little cold outside. But anyways, we're down here and we're going to talk today about resources. Okay, so resources are things that we use that come from nature. Raw materials that we use for all kinds of different things like housing and clothing and transportation and heating and cooking, and we just use it in all of our day-to-day lives. So it also includes the air we breathe and the water that we drink, the land that we farm, the space that we use for living and for recreation, for things that we do for fun. So it's all the things that you use in your physical environment, all the things that you use where you live to meet your needs and your wants. Okay, so we can put all of these resources that we use into three groups. We can put them into renewable, non-renewable, and something called perpetual. Okay, so if you're older, you may have heard of perpetual. Perpetual means ongoing and never ending. Okay, that's what perpetual means. So we have renewable, non-renewable, and then we have perpetual. It's ongoing and never stops, okay? So, as long as history has been around, as long as time has been around, we have perpetual resources that have been given to us. The sun. We have solar energy from the sun. We have wind. And we have tides that last forever. Those things never change. Okay, they just keep going on and on and on and on and on. So non-renewable resources, however, you can only find them in fixed amounts. And once they're used up, that's it. They're gone forever. Okay, or if they're not gone forever, then they take a really long time to renew themselves. Okay, so they're either gone forever or it's going to take thousands of years for them to replenish themselves. All right, so an example of that would be fossil fuels. So those were formed through natural processes that takes thousands upon thousands upon thousands of years. And if we use all of our available fossil fuels, and then there are no more ever made for thousands upon thousands upon thousands of years, then that's it. We've used it all. Okay, so those are non-renewable. That means that they are not renewable. Okay, so it's not just fossil fuels. There's other things that are non-renewable, like copper and other metals that were created and take lots of time to be created through natural processes here on Earth. And the only way we could get them is to wait thousands upon thousands upon thousands of years, or you'd have to go to another planet, another solid planet, and mine them. And we already know that Mercury and Venus are out because they're too hot, right? So it would leave Mars, and who's going to go to Mars because there's no air there. So, and then we don't even know if those metals even exist on these other planets. I guess we do some of them, but some of them we may not even know. So that's why we need to take care of these non-renewable resources, okay? Because they exist only in very small amounts, okay? So we have talked a lot about reduce, reuse, and recycle. So that is why it's so important to do those things, because some of these things that we reduce, reuse, and recycle are in limited amounts. And we need to take care of the amounts that we have so that we don't run out, okay? So, we talked about perpetual. That's the sun, the wind, the tides. We talked about non-renewable, like fossil fuels and copper and other metals. And the next one is renewable. These are the materials that can be replenished through natural or human processes, okay? So, like trees. Yes, trees, we cut down trees for different things. We need it for our houses, for paper products. But when you cut down a tree, you can always put one back. And trees do go through natural processes. Trees die on their own. So they do go through a process of replenishing themselves because they create seeds. The seeds fall to the ground and they grow new trees. So we can replant these trees. So they are renewable, okay? And even though a lot of us eat meat, we eat cow, beef and chicken and pork and all that stuff, animals are renewable because they can have more cows and chickens and pigs and everything, they can have babies. So they do replenish themselves. And animals are constantly being raised by farmers. So it is important to realize that renewable resources, even though they can replenish themselves, they still need to be carefully managed, okay? Because even though they can replenish themselves, we can use them so quickly that they don't have time to replenish themselves, and then it would just be like almost like a non-renewable resource, okay? So we don't want to use these things too quickly, okay, so that it can't recover itself. In the 1900s, the passenger pigeon was hunted so heavily and irresponsibly, that means that people didn't follow the laws and they didn't follow hunting quotas and all that stuff, that the numbers of these passenger pigeons dwindled so greatly that they could not recover, and then passenger pigeons are now extinct, okay? Grasslands can be overgrazed to the point to where the soil loses its ability to support plant life, and that area will become like a desert, and it won't be able to recover itself, or if it does, it's going to take a very, very, very long time. Groundwater supplies. Yes, water is a renewable resource, but we can use it so quickly that we can pump it out faster than it falls from the sky, okay? So we need to take care of our water supplies too. Yes, it's renewable, but we can use it faster than it falls from the sky, so we do need to take care of it and reduce the amount of water that we use, okay? So there is something called a sustainable yield. Okay, I know that's a big word, but sustainable yield is the highest rate that people can use a renewable resource without it hurting its ability to replenish itself or to make more of itself, okay? So we always need to be mindful that when we use renewable resources, that we're not using too much of them. That's why, we talk about a lot about when you're brushing your teeth, turn off the water. When you're washing your hands and you're soaping them up and you're singing your song for 20 seconds, turn the water off. That saves a little bit of water. When you go in and out of rooms, make sure that you turn the lights off and stuff. All of those things are saving resources that are renewable, but we don't want to use them at a rate so quickly that they can't replenish themselves, okay? So when we recycle, or when we reuse, or when we reduce, we are taking the demand from that resource and decreasing it, making it smaller, that demand, and we are saving energy, okay? So let's think about, I talked the other day about aluminum, and if you watched that video, you'll remember that aluminum comes from bauxite ore. So when that bauxite ore has to be mined from the ground, right? So when we recycle aluminum cans, they can take that aluminum from that can and melt it down and make a new aluminum can, which keeps them from mining into the ground to get that bauxite ore. Because remember, we said that metals are a non-renewable resource. There's only a small amount of these metals in the Earth's crust, and when we use those metals, they're either gone for good or gone for thousands upon thousands of years, okay? So when we recycle paper, we keep that paper out of the landfills. I talked to you about landfills the other day, about how we need space in our landfills. We need to extend the life of our landfills as long as we can. But you are keeping more trees from being cut down. And yes, trees are renewable, but remember, we said we have to manage them responsibly. So when you recycle paper, you are keeping trees from being cut down again. All right? So let's think about a few things just a minute before we move on to our craft. So on Earth, there are only limited amounts of fossil fuels such as oil and coal and natural gas. There's limited amounts of minerals like iron and copper and phosphates. And these resources either can't be replaced or they take thousands of years to replenish or to make more, okay? So some non-renewable and renewable natural resources can be recycled and reused. Okay, we definitely need to do that. This process decreases the rate at which the supplies are used. Okay, so that's why we recycle aluminum cans, or to keep from mining for more bauxite ore, we recycle paper so that we don't use as many trees. Renewable natural resources include plants, animals, and water. So when they are properly cared for, we still have a good amount of those things, okay? Minerals and fossil fuels like coal and oil are your non-renewable. And so trees, wildlife, water, and many other natural resources are replaced by natural processes. Plants and animals can be replenished by human activities, by people raising the animals, by people planting the trees and the plants. Water is constantly cycled through the water cycle through evaporation, condensation, and precipitation, and it is constantly reused. Sunlight, wind, and geothermal heat and tides are perpetual resources. They never stop. They never go away, okay? So let's think about it. I'm going to give you a minute. I'm going to tell you some things, and you need to think in your mind about, is it renewable, is it non-renewable, or is it perpetual? And I'll give you just a few seconds, and then we'll answer the question, okay? All right, so a field of corn. Is a field of corn renewable, non-renewable, or perpetual? What do you think? It is renewable. We can make more corn. Oil in the Arctic tundra. Oil. Renewable, non-renewable, or perpetual? If you said non-renewable, you are right. That is a non-renewable resource. Coal in the Appalachian Mountains. Is that renewable, non-renewable, or perpetual? Coal. Think about digging into the ground, so it would be non-renewable, wouldn't it? So that's oil and coal are two things that we really need to make sure that we reduce and take care of. Sunshine everywhere. So our choices are renewable, non-renewable, or perpetual. So sunshine was a perpetual resource, something that never stops. Tides in the Bay of Fundy. Renewable, non-renewable, or perpetual? So we said that tides are perpetual. They never end. Tuna in the ocean. Tuna is a fish. So we said that animals are renewable. People can raise fish. The fish have babies and renew themselves and replenish themselves. So that is a renewable resource. Trees in a forest. We said that all plants and animals are renewable. Okay, so renewable means that they will replenish themselves. They make seeds and they make new trees, and people can plant trees, can't they? Gold mines in the western United States. So anything that comes from the ground is going to be non-renewable. So gold is definitely non-renewable. The hot springs in Alaska. Okay, so hot springs are water. We said that water is renewable because it goes through the water cycle. So that is renewable. Sand on a beach. Even that one's kind of tough. Sand on a beach. Sand is always there, isn't it? I wonder if sand is renewable or perpetual. I think I might even actually have to look that one up there. Sand on a beach. I'm going to say that with the tides, it is probably perpetual, isn't it? Because tides are perpetual, so the tides will always bring in sand, so I would say it's perpetual. A breeze over the Texas plains. We said that wind is perpetual. It's always going and never stopping. Salmon in streams. Now, salmon is a fish, so we just did the one about tuna, and tuna was renewable, so we know that salmon is renewable. They have more babies and people can raise the fish and all that stuff, okay? And so water in a river. So we said that water is renewable because it's constantly replenishing itself through the water cycle, okay? So I want you to think about just a minute before we go on and we do our craft, okay? Let's think about, I didn't actually have popcorn. I didn't want to fix popcorn this morning. My house smelled like popcorn. But we're going to pretend that this is like food that people could eat. Okay? So, think about if this is the amount of food that we have, And we have a first generation of people who come. And I think this lesson will really make sense, especially with the times that we're living in, because when all of this pandemic started with the coronavirus, a lot of people went out and bought things, didn't they? So stores had a supply, a certain amount of items. And so a first generation, which would be like the first people who responded and went out and bought things, they went and bought, a whole lot. So then, oops, I dropped one of my things. Then, when the second generation people came along, did they have a lot of things to choose from? No. So all of the second generation came, which was the second wave of people who went shopping, and they took what was left. And then we got into the problem where when third generation came through, or the third wave of shoppers came through, did they have the items that they needed in order to live? They weren't there, were they? Which, I know we may do and got other things, but see how that we need to take care of it. And I'm not just talking about toilet paper or canned foods or anything like that. That could be anything, any kind of food supply or any kind of water supply. If all of the first generation comes through and gets a whole bunch of stuff, then when those people, when the next generation of kids grow up, there's not as much for them. And if they use up all the stuff, then the third generation of people who come through are not going to have anything or very little left. Okay? So that's why when we use resources, we need to really think about, it's not just me. I've got to think about future generations. I want my daughter to have the resources that she needs, like the water that she needs and the trees that she needs and all these other resources, all these minerals that come from the ground that's great for our bodies and everything. I want her to have those things when she grows up, and then when she has children, I want those children to have things. So that's why we reduce and reuse and recycle. It's not just for us. It's not just for the environment, but it's for all those future generations out there who are going to be using things, okay? So we always need to be mindful of that. And when we use things, don't take more than what you need, okay? Because we just said that even though resources can be renewable, we can use them so quickly that they can't replenish themselves. And you can think about it like the grocery store. People went and bought certain items so quickly that grocery stores had a hard time restocking the shelves, and they're still having a hard time restocking the shelves. So renewable resources kind of work the same way, okay? They're there, but they have a hard time restocking or replenishing or producing more, okay? So we need to be mindful that when we use renewable resources, that we're not using too much of those so that the next generation has things that they need in order to survive, okay? All right, so today we are going to do a little bit of painting. I am so excited. I'm going to flip the camera around here in just a minute. You'll have to ignore, we have a painting mat and it's got paint all over it, so you'll just have to ignore the little mess here. But we are going to make a sunflower. Okay, yep, I love sunflowers. And if you've not made your mom or your grandma, or maybe you have a special aunt in your family, or you have, just some woman in your life that you really love and you want to give her something for Mother's Day. She doesn't even have to be a mother, as long as she has a mother's heart. Give her something special. So we're going to paint a really pretty flower, and that would be an awesome gift to give some lady in your life that you really love for Mother's Day, okay? So I'm going to show you how to make one, and it be super duper beautiful, okay? Is that exciting? All right, so what you're going to need is you're going to have some yellow paint, some brown paint, and some green paint. Of course, some paint brushes. You're going to have some paper, or if you want to do a canvas and make it really snazzy and pretty, you're going to have a toilet paper roll. Yes, I said it, a toilet paper roll. And you need something with a circular bottom on it, okay? So this first little part I'm going to do right here where you can see, okay? So I am going to trace the bottom of this so that it's the middle of my sunflower, okay? Because if we're making Mother's Day gifts, we want things to look very nice and pretty, don't we? Okay. That did not turn out to be a very good circle. Let me see if I can fix it just a little bit. Kind of fix it up a little. I'm obviously not a very good drawer. Alright, so once you get your circle drawn, you're going to take your brown paint and you're going to paint that circle brown. Alright, give me just a minute. I don't want to do it too fast. I want it to look nice. So if you did like me and you messed up your circle just a little bit, no worries. Paint covers up a multitude of sin, doesn't it? Alright. So, I have the circle for the middle of my sunflower. Alright, so now we're going to do the petals. So you need to take a toilet paper roll and you need to smush it down. And when you smush it down, do you see right here how it makes like a petal shape? So what we're going to do, and let me go ahead and flip this around. What we're going to do is we're going to take our toilet paper roll and we are going to just lightly dab it into our paint. Okay, so we have some paint around the rim of our toilet paper roll and we're going to use it like a stamp. And we're going to go around and we are going to stamp petals. And you may have to dunk it a little bit more. We're going to stamp our petals all the way around our sunflower. Dunk it again. Who knew you could use a toilet paper to paint, or toilet paper roll to paint with, right? Dunk this. Oh, I have one little bitty sliver. Make that a little bit more narrow. There we go. It's okay if it overlaps a little bit. Okay. So now I would take and paint in each petal. Just fill it right in there. You could probably even make the petals overlap, and I didn't even think about that. I'd probably make it look a little bit more like a sunflower, but I think this turned out pretty neat because I never can get my sunflower petals even. I painted one myself the other night for a sign I made for my house. My petals weren't exactly right and pretty. Alright, give me just a minute. If you're super good at painting, you could always take and put the other colors in it to make the leaves have some dimension to them and stuff. But I'm not quite that talented. See, this is not taking very long at all. Oh, I see some places here that I missed. Oh, I got some brown in it, didn't I? Whoops. All right. Now, I'm going to take some green. And I'm just going to go down here and I'm going to make me a little stem. And if you wanted to use the other end of your toilet paper roll, you could dip your stem in the green and make you a little leaf. for your sunflower. And there you have it. A beautiful sunflower. And you could let it dry and write that you love your mom on it, or your aunt, or whoever it is that you wanted to give it to. And that would be a great Mother's Day gift, wouldn't it? And you done it with a toilet paper roll. Who would have guessed it? All right. Well, I know we can't get away from those toilet paper rolls. They're awesome. All right. So I will see you guys on Monday. I hope you have a great weekend. I hope you treat the ladies in your life so wonderful this weekend for Mother's Day. Tell them you love them. Thank them for all the things that they do for you, all of the meals that they cook, the dishes they wash, the clothes that they do, for the times that they've helped you through boo-boos and all that good stuff, okay? And then you have this nice, beautiful gift to give them for Mother's Day if you decide to make them. If you make one, we would love to see some pictures. So post them on Keep Cotton County Beautiful's Facebook page. You can do it under this video. You can message Keep Cotton County Beautiful, or you can email us at kccbdirector@gmail.com. We would love to put these on Facebook and show people your artwork. And who knew you made it from a toilet paper roll, right? If you could get creative and decide to see what other kind of flowers you can make by making stamps out of toilet paper rolls or any other kind of thing that you have laying around the house, we'd like to see those too. We love to see creativity at work, okay? All right, so Miss Greta will be on tomorrow, and I hope you guys have a great rest of the day, and I will see you later, okay? Bye.